Hello, my darlings. Welcome to or welcome back to Marion K Tarot. We are going to be doing a reading this week for the 17th of November to the 23rd of November. And what a week we are heading towards. Of course, it was going to be dramatic because it's the last week of Scorpio season for this year. Now, I'm looking down here because I've got some notes, okay, because of the different transits that's going on. So, what's the bigger story? The bigger story is we have got a new moon in Scorpio this week. It is at 28 degrees Scorpio, so it's very, very late. And it is on Thursday, the 20th. I don't know if I just said that, did I? I don't know. It's going to be intense. It's Scorpio, of course it's going to be intense. The sun and moon both in that sign. It's ruled by Mars because that's the traditional ruler of Scorpio. So it's going to be a bit feisty. Right? It's just going to be a bit feisty. And we like that, because it's like sometimes we don't like it as much as what we like it, but what I would say is the advice I would give is lean into it, enjoy it. It's like Scorpio is like the sexy sign of the zodiac. It's like lean into that energy, and you don't have to be with a partner to experience that. You know what I mean? So, however, just really lean into your body, lean into yourself, lean into the parts of yourself that you don't often visit. Yeah, just for that kind of deep conversations with yourself. And if there is somebody in your life, then and if they're a Scorpio, tell them how you feel. They like that, apparently. They enjoy vulnerability, they enjoy intensity, they enjoy being, trusted with secrets. Right, so if you've got a confession to make to somebody, and they're a Scorpio, like say for instance you want to confess, I don't know, how much you care about them, how much they mean to you in your life, then tell them. Very often Scorpio is one of the few signs, if you're in any kind of relationship with them, romantic, casual, whatever, they don't shy away from that. They don't balk at that. It kind of it helps them. It's like their lifeblood. It's like their essence. They thrive in that. Okay, so that is as much as I'm saying in that. What else have we got? We have got Mercury retrograding back into Scorpio as well this week. That's going to compound maybe miscommunication. So, like I'm saying there, when you're communicating with loved ones, with lovers, etc., then be very clear in your communication. It's not a week to play games. It's not a week to second guess yourself. It's like speak truth this week in the most simplest forms. I would suggest that to you. Right, okay, so and then in the 22nd we get a bit of a reprieve with all that intensity for Scorpio coming off of Scorpio new moon, where the sun moves into Sagittarius. Yay! The fun loving sign of the zodiac, the traveller, the wanderer. So yeah, so that'll be fun to see what happens. Right, okay, so this week, because it is the last week of Scorpio season, I'm using the Bohemian Gothic Tarot by Baba Studios again because I love it so much. I just love it. And right, okay, so spoiler alert, I've got 3 copies of this deck. That's how much I love it. I've got the giant special edition, which I've never opened. Maybe I'll open it one day. I don't know. And I have got the latest version where it has got the holographic silver, and this I believe was the 3rd edition with the lovely Baroque backs, and I adore it. It is honestly, it holds a really special place in my heart. So yeah. Right. Okay, let's see what's going on. Enough of my waffling. Give me some cards, please, for the 17th to the 23rd of November, please. What is coming towards us? What do we need to look out for? What do we need to look out for? What messages do we need to know? What advice do we need? Let's see. Right. Okay. Okay. At the bottom of the deck we've got the Five of Swords. So I pulled that for myself earlier on this week. And I think, see with the Five of Swords, it's that, you know, and what I like, right, is about the imagery of this particular card, right? So in first glance it looks as if that wolf is going after the maiden, okay? But then if you look, it's like, it's not really. You know, it's like it isn't initially what we believe it to be. You know, it looks more like the wolf is kind of like, what the hell's going on? And the female in the card, she doesn't look afraid. In fact, she looks like she could probably take the wolf out. So, you know, so I think that the message this week, you know, the shadow message of the cards this week is, be aware that not everything is as it seems, and that's very true, especially with the Mercury retrograde. You know, we're still going through that in our communication with people. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean, and even our communications with ourselves. You know, if at first glance something doesn't feel right, or you think one thing, you know, give yourself grace to go back and check what's going on with it. So the cards proper, what we have got is we've got a really interesting set of cards here. We've got the Nine of Wands here, card of Sagittarius. We have got the Queen of Pentacles, so it's always interesting when she comes out, and we have got a very sullen looking Knight of Swords. Okay, now immediately what makes me, it feels like these cards, you know, they're kind of they're at odds with each other. And it's like this Nine of Wands, you know, that kind of a footman, that kind of soldier. You know, it looks very much like the like an infantry soldier. And there is like a clear hierarchical, that word, journey this week. You know, you might be starting at the beginning of the week where things are like, you know, you're feeling quite kind of a wearisome, you're feeling quite, you'd get up and got up and gone, you know, I love that expression. But you know, it can seem like that, you know, and it's just like, oh, another week, right, okay. And it feels, you know, like if we're paying attention to social media, if we're paying attention to TV, etc., you know, and in other businesses, everything seems to be winding down, you know. But if you're working in an industry or a job where it's like Christmas is maybe you work in retail, you know, may the odds be forever in your favour. You know, that's like the whole thing with retail, you know, I admire. You maybe you work in the entertainment business, you know, like the like pubs, clubs, that kind of thing, you know, and you're gearing up for Christmas and you're like, oh God. And you know, and speaking as somebody who has worked several Christmases in very, very busy pubs, I totally get it. You know, it's like everybody's enjoying yourself and themselves, and you just want it to end, you know. And if you hear Mariah Carey one more time, you want to literally melt your eyeballs out your head. So, but you know, that wearisome, it's like, just keep going, because you know, at the end of it, you know, we've got a Queen of Pentacles, and she is just providing that grounding. Maybe there's something, you know, with that new moon this week that we're wanting to plant. You know, there's ideas, there's something that's coming right in for our core. There's something that is coming towards us, and we really think to ourselves, we think to ourselves, right, do you know what, this could really happen, this could really go somewhere. I'm not going to be afraid to take the next step. It's also, you know, it shows up very often as a card of Virgo. So that maybe think back to Virgo season, what was going on, you know. But I think ultimately it's this new moon in Scorpio that's showing up, and then, you know, taking that seed, etc., you know, and getting it to the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is a, how can we describe it? I personally love the Knight of Swords, right? And I think he's misunderstood for the most part of the time. But I think he's an incredibly proud character in the tarot, and I think that he's often just kind of a bypassed as, oh, that really fast guy, you know, that guy that talks a million miles a minute and has like 200 odd ideas or something. But maybe the Knight of Swords, sorry, is the knight that you're needing more than anything else. Are you looking to get a book up off the ground? Is there something that you need to communicate? Do you want to change your messaging in your business, perhaps? The Knight of Swords is your ally, okay, and he's also going to be there during this Mercury retrograde period for the week. Just help me, you know, cut through the confusion, you know, the confusion of the Mercury retrograde, because remember, the Knight of Swords is related to Gemini. Mercury rules Gemini, okay? And also with Virgo, Mercury rules Virgo, so it is a very mercurial reading, you know. And then we just get this like 9 of Wands here, you know. You just want to take out your recipe. It's a card of Sagittarius, so, you know, the astrology is very much showing up in the cards this week. But, you know, if you're relating these cards to people in your life or perhaps parts of your personality, what I would suggest is, going forward, just be easy with yourself. You know, it's a big week. There's lunations happening all over the place, and it's like, oh, because remember, before we have the new moon, we've got the dark moon, we've got the balsamic moon, which is the darkest possible time of the cycle, and it's a time for deep introspection. Okay, it's a part of the cycle where the ancients were most afraid of. It's the hardest, most challenging moon placement to have in your chart. But, you know, with great suffering comes great enlightenment. So I would offer that to you. Right, so that's the cards. What we're going to do is we're going to pull a card for the Grief Journey Oracle. Because I've been getting some feedback saying that he's like this, and plus I think it demonstrates the fact that it's the oracle is actually versatile. It's a lot more versatile than maybe what you would initially think. So, and what I'm going to do is, right, I've got the guidebook out, so I'm actually going to read through the guidebook, which technically I don't think is cheating because I wrote the guidebook. So, you know, I don't think it's cheating. I don't think. Right, let's see. What we got? Wow. Okay, so we have got Ascension. Okay, so this is one of the cards that, right for the get go, I had said to Terry, I was like, right, in this deck we need a dragon. I was like, we need a unicorn, we need a dragon, we need a dolphin. And I think they were the three characters that I wanted to have in the deck. I did not know how we were going to have them in it, but I just knew wanted to have them in it. So we'll go to Ascension and we'll see what I've wrote, because I can't remember. Because it's funny, because it's like when I've been reading like extracts, I'm like, wow, did I actually read that? I'm like, it's quite profound. Okay, so here it says, I'll hold it up so you don't need to look at my face, right? So the act of change, ascension is the act of changing location in an upward direction, rising up. The act of ascension indicates that movement is required. The world around us continues to move, and willingly or not, we must move with it. A powerful black dragon travels through the cloud bank towards clear skies way above the earth below. What is it heading towards we may only guess at. Is the light beckoning them home perhaps? There are various different ways we can interpret the word ascension in relation to grief and loss, the most prominent being that of a spiritual nature. Many believe the departed loved one's spirit soul rises up and ascends to another plane, which can symbolise a sense of peace and liberation for them. Consider how we can use the word ascension in describing the gradual lifting of grief as we move towards a place of acceptance and healing, perhaps even a reclamation of hope within our hearts. We choose to ascend into our own power. There are many ways to harness this energy to empower us after an altering experience of grief and loss. So that was what I wrote in the book. There you go. I think, this week as well, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is, if Scorpio season has been particularly difficult for you, it's very much an opportunity where we've got Sagittarius season starting at the end of the week. So it gives us a reprieve, it gives us a boost with that fire energy, so we can commit to that if we've been in deep emotions. Okay, my darlings, so that's your reading for this week. Like I say, thank you so much for all the lovely kind comments that I got in the video for last week. It was pretty overwhelming. So it was, and I did take some time, I did kind of relax a bit and, just take things a wee bit easier last week. And when I say take it easier, I threw myself into my work. But I was much more intentional with it. So it really helped, and so thanks so much. These are amazing. So you show up here every week and you watch me warbling away. So you may or may not have seen from my other social media, I have announced and put tickets on sale for the Oracle's Rebellion. It's essentially a 2-day divination conference in Glasgow. There are tickets for online attendance as well. It's going to be happening on the 25th and 26th of April 2026. It's going to be in Glasgow, as I say. It's an in-person event, but there is tickets available. More details will be getting released soon as regards to speakers, etc. But I just wanted to bring yourselves, make you aware of it. Okay, my loves. So thank you so much for hanging around with me. And I will see you next week. Okay.